In this episode of the Encourage Inspire podcast, I'm joined by a returning guest, music marketer and strategist Kareem Keys to the Game Guy. Man, Kareem's a great dude. You know, I've had him on the podcast before. Man, this guy's all about helping to drive fan base growth for independent artists. Right, so this time around, we decided to do more of a meat and potatoes workshop style deep dive into the ability to engage and create super fans, right? So we talked about the importance of fostering a sense of belonging for fans and how that contributes to long-term success, as well as building community through social media, why social media is extremely important, and should be an integral part of the marketing strategy. And we also talked about why it's important to how to balance personal engagement on socials at the same time maintaining boundaries of privacy, and why utilizing the pillars of fan engagement, which is authenticity, consistency, and sustainability, matters very much. We end the episode talking about the three most common mistakes as well and then we also deep dive into the importance of research and development, and also why I share the importance of not quitting your day job, as it gives you some stability to support yourself as an independent creative, and why that matters so that you can ultimately build success. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Thanks. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Encourage and Inspire podcast. This is actually a re-recording of episode 92 because we had some technical difficulties first time we had to do this. So I'm back again with my guy, Kareem Keys to the Game. Guy, what's going on, bro? How you doing?
I'm good, man. Always working, trying to get stuff knocked off the checklist.
For sure, man. Like first off, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, we're crystal
Uh,
clear.
all right, cool. Just want to make sure. Yeah, this you're actually the second repeat guest outside, but outside of the podcast owner, LaShawn Jones, called him TS from the Got What You Need podcast network, where this podcast is housed. So,
Mm,
I know we did this the first time, and we kind of talked about your story overall, but I wanted to bring you back to talk more, really just about, you know, super fan building, community building, authenticity,
yeah,
how to build an audience in today's space. So this is more of kind of like a meat and potatoes, chop it up. How can we help and teach and share knowledge
facts.
that's going to help independent artists listen to this podcast in general? So that's what this is going to be about today, man. So cool, man. So I want to start with a question of like, you know, let's talk about fostering relationships, as a long term success option. I don't use the word option, but fostering long relationships is key for
Yeah,
independent artists. Why don't you talk about that? You and I, this is our world, this is our language, so we eat and breathe this stuff all the time, but we know
yeah,
how important it is to foster long term relationships and for people who are part of a community to feel like they belong to something. So
yeah.
why don't you give me your thoughts on that?
Sure. I mean, well, first you said that it was an option. Let me just say it's not an option.
Right.
Like this is something that you have to do. And the reason why it's important is because your fans, your community, those are going to be the people that pay the bills for you, right? And that's if you don't see this as a hobby, because there are people who they have trouble finding the difference of where they sit on that scale. Um, but if it's not a hobby and you see yourself wanting to grow, be on larger stages, feature with larger artists, then at that point, you're going to need money from somewhere. And I can certainly promise you that it's not going to come from streaming platforms. So you are going to need to build relationships with people that are willing to put money in your pocket. And so, we'll take a deeper dive into, what that really looks like and how you should be doing that. But understand that it is not an option. You must learn how to do this.
Yeah, you got to. I mean, because the only way to survive, and I talk about this all the time when I'm coaching, when I'm just sharing knowledge, is that you got to have that microeconomy if you're going to be an artist. And it's just because at the end of the day, you cannot compete with the artists who have scaled brands. It's just not gonna work.
Yeah.
There's just too many, and then there also too, you gotta realize artists gotta realize this too. There's 9 million artists. I was given this stat and it's always stuck with me. There's 9 million artists across the world that consider themselves professional artists to varying differences of scale, but
Yeah.
considering themselves an artist that they take their career seriously. So, in the terms of there being 9 billion people on the planet, 9 million of those, which in the grand scheme of things is not that many, actually, if you think about it. In the grand scheme of the world,
Yeah.
of
No.
9 billion people versus 9 million artists, sounds
Yeah.
like it's a lot, but it's not really a lot when you think about the whole entire world. But it
Yeah.
is one of those things. But I bring that up because there are not enough quote unquote record labels to house the amount of artists in the marketplace. So
Yeah.
artists thinking that if I just go, get hot or somebody's gonna come see me, that
Right.
somebody's gonna find me and they're gonna do all the work and I can just sit back and be an artist and quite frankly, a lot of artists probably wish, to be honest with you, they probably wish it was that way. As much freedom as you have now to control the destiny of your career, there are artists out there that really don't want to do that type of real work. They just want to be creative. And that's just what. And no matter how much you tell them that that it's more than that, they just don't want to do that because unfortunately, like a lot of them, their brains don't function like that. They don't think about it in that regard.
And
If you want to talk about that, if you want to touch your
yeah,
thoughts on that, your thoughts on that.
and honestly, if that's the type of mindset that you want to have, that's cool, no problem. But also
A hobby
understand,
at that point, that's a hobby for you. Yeah,
yeah, or will treat you like an employee, right?
yeah,
It's
yeah,
an employee mindset. And if
yeah.
that's all you want to be, then cool. You know what I mean? But also don't go into a deal or some type of negotiation with an employee mindset expecting boss benefits, right?
Exactly.
Like
Right.
owning your
Right.
master. Like, right?
Right. 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 That's real talk.
That's not, yeah, like you're not gonna leave away with that kind of, with that kind of situation. If all you are and all you want to be and all your actions scream is that I want to be an employee. So, if you want boss activity, you want boss benefits, then, you have to listen to the stuff that we're preaching today because that's what's going to allow you to come into those situations with leverage so that you can, pop your shit, so to speak.
For sure, bro. And I want to go into, man, the role that social media plays, right?
Yeah.
Social media, and I've said this several times. I talk about this all the time. In the old industry, and we and I may have talked about this before. The old industry, you had the term recording artist. I don't believe that term exists anymore. Not in this era. I think you are content creators with a focus on music, which is different. Because let's be honest, if you look at the legends, right, the Michael Jacksons,
Yeah.
the Anita Bakers, just the legendary what we call legacy acts, right? Whitney Houston. That term recording artist that worked in that era. This
Yeah.
era is just a different era. So like, thinking that you're going to be able to do this without content, without social media. This is the one cat online that I really respect his grind. He one of his artists is Mia Snow, right? The chick Mia Snow. I think she got from out might be out your way.
I
Actually.
saw her. I think I saw her recently in New York at the DigiLaw conference. I think she
Yeah,
was.
and he had
Yeah.
made a comment one time about like because I guess Ari Lennox said she didn't want to be on social media no more. But he's like, yeah, you can do it without social media. I'm like, no, you can't. No, you can't. There's an independent artist that's trying to become that's discoverable, trying to discover, trying to build it. For them to think they can do this without social media is absolutely delusional. That's just it's not going to work. It's just not going to work. You know what I'm saying? Because how else are you going to go touch the people to care about what you're doing? Like I created to back in the days in the old industry where you would go to the mall, right? So you take it in just real life. Remember how in the store back in the days, back on a Saturday, you would just go to the mall just to go to the mall, right? And stores would just get random people because it's just foot traffic. If you're hanging out, because again, this is pre-social media days. This is like when you want to do something on a Saturday, you went to the mall and you saw your friends from school just
Right.
hanging out. I would go to the mall and most times would run into somebody I knew just by walking around. And then like you'd go in stores and stores would just get foot traffic, right?
Yeah.
And you just kind of expected, people would go in there for specific things, but most of the time people go in there to window shop. They might do some foot traffic, and they might go in the store and they might buy something, and they just might. You don't have to market to them. They just might buy
Right.
something. I think the days of record companies being able to control and manipulate consumers' access to music makes a big difference, right? Because you could back in the day, you could manipulate how an artist was seen, right?
Yeah.
And different record companies, you would sign with a label because of the type of sound that they knew how to curate,
Mm-hmm.
and that could be, and you can manipulate it. That's why, and you would say, okay, well, for a long time, look at Def Jam. Def Jam was a hip hop label, right? But one of the first singers they signed, first maybe R&B, what was Montel Jordan. But if you notice, like Montel had a hit record, this is how we do it. But you got to think like they were a hip hop label trying to market an R&B act, right? And you couldn't necessarily a bunch of a label backed in hip hop street music. I don't know if they necessarily knew what to do with Montel, but because what they did was they pretty much just put a rapper on every record, or at least that's what they try to do with a lot of artists. You saw the same with G Unit, right? With Olivia. I remember when they signed Olivia to their label, I think, and 50 had a lot of success, but I think that's one of the things he didn't have success in because you just can't market R&B the same way you market hip hop. I bring that all back to say with social media nowadays, your platforms, you control what's on those platforms. People come there to see what you have going on. So you're able to curate whatever you want. And at the end of the day, the people are going to decide whether they like it or not. Back in the days, you could force feed records on radio. But you had to, like, that's just the record you heard. And we're not going to get into how the radio game really works, how it works today. That's not what this conversation is about.
Yeah.
But you can manipulate things in the old industry that you can't really do it now, which is why record companies will always have a place. They'll probably never go away, but they can't monopolize the industry. The majors can't really monopolize the space. It's kind of like how traditional media is working now versus independent media. So where do people get their news sources from? YouTube now. People don't even go watch regularly. You will look for YouTube content creators. It's kind of the same deal. You used to want to go to ESPN. If you were in sports, you wanted to get a job at the worldwide leader. If you made it to ESPN, you were the shit. Now, that's not necessarily goal anymore. You can start your own platform and build it that way. So I mean, I think that's why social media plays a role But talk to me about, you know, the importance of social media playing a role in community and how that really helps independent creatives.
I mean, just to echo off of what you said, I mean, it gives the space and opportunity to do that, in an era where that wasn't available. You actually had to get out, you had to leave out the house, you had to go to events, you had to shake hands, meet new people, you had to have that outside personality. But now you don't need to do that anymore. You can literally connect with people from from literally your living room. Like I'll give an real world example. I was going to like stay in the house sometime last week. Um, but then I got invited out. And the reason why I wanted to stay in the house is because I'm like, I need to connect with some people online. And but I was feeling like, well, when I got invited out, I'm like, all right, you know what, I'm gonna just take this opportunity to just go out in the world and, flex my social skills, right? Or improve my social skills.
For sure.
Um, but I ended up not going, right? And so I stayed in the house and I was like, okay, well, granted, I didn't make it out the house to go and do this thing. I'm like, all is not lost because I could just go right on my phone and I can connect with people. And I think that night, literally, I gained like 10 new followers just from doing my engagement strategy that I do pretty often. And that like had highlighted, this moment that I'm bringing now with what I'm saying is, social media just makes it so easy to connect with people. Who's to say that if I would have went out, I may have only connected with like two people, and that's still great and all.
Yeah.
But think about it, literally from my living room, I was able to gain 10 new followers. I was able to connect with 10 new people that I never met before. And where they're located transcends my actual physical borders right now.
Right,
Like
right,
I'm in
right.
New Jersey. These people are probably, I don't know, wherever. The
Yeah.
internet is very right.
Yeah.
So uh, the social media is super, 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 super important, and it should be an integral piece in every artist campaign because of how much it allows for you to connect with people so quickly. Am I always a fan of the algorithms? Not
No.
quite, no,
No, because you
because
never know how. No one really knows how it works. Nobody really knows
right,
for sure. Can pin down for sure how it works, right? But that's why it's important to have a platform that you own, like your
yeah,
website, your email list, things.
yeah,
What's the number one complaint is people don't ever see my posts. People don't ever see my posts,
yeah,
and things like that, right? But
yeah,
you know, the way you work, there's ways to work around that. Is
facts,
one, you have to when you're running ads, if you're going to do that, which just there's a time and a place to run ads. I think that we're kind of jumping all over a little bit all over the place here, but I mean, just real quick touching on that, like you know, if you're going to monetize running an ad, you got to be able to have your back ends and your system set up in order to do that. I don't ever recommend people just running ads right off the gate unless you're just trying to collect quick data to see if somebody's liking something or not, right? But I
yeah.
just think
You don't
there's
even
just what. Go ahead.
do that. I was just say you don't even you could do that all organic, But
Sure.
like I
Yeah.
agree.
Yeah. Yeah.
Overall,
Yeah.
I
For sure.
agree with you. I say the same thing. Like, don't just jump right into ads. Like, really play around with the platform. And I think I see some real shit the other day that even inspired and encouraged me, no pun intended.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Somebody has said something like they had pointed out that even though the numbers didn't hit, when they posted something, the numbers didn't hit what they wanted it to hit. They were like, let's not sleep on what numbers you do get, right? So
Yeah.
like if you go and look at your most recent post and see that it reached 200 people, I mean, granted, that's not, 10,000 or a million.
Yeah.
Like, where are you gonna go? Like, you could, I mean, it's humanly possible to get out there and reach 200 people, but
Yeah.
like, not on an average day,
Right.
right?
Right. Right.
So,
Right. Right. Right.
so it's like, you know, it's a small win. It's not the result that you're looking for, but it's still something. And so I say that to just give motivation to artists that, are truly feeling this social media grind and feeling like it's not taking them anywhere. That, just keep posting. Like, don't
Yeah,
worry about the numbers, but like at the same
that's why I
time,
tell people like you just got to because yeah, because again, you know, the algorithm is based off obviously engagement, right? And I think that's the number one thing most people struggle with. I struggle with it too. You know what I'm saying? But everybody sees my posts all the time. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Everybody sees what I do, but I'm posting because really I'm posting so that when people come to my page, they do see valuable content. They do see valuable something, and
yeah,
that's what matters to me, right?
yeah,
Now of course you and I are running ads because we're trying to get people that want to come into our worlds, right? So it's a little bit different for us because we're not necessarily pitching music. So like when I'm getting running an ad, I'm running an ad to obviously to create lead generation and things like that, but specifically bring somebody into my world that hopefully will want to work with me in some kind of capacity. Same thing for you, I'm sure. But I've seen, your ad game, and I've seen you, and I'm loving what you've been doing. You've been, like, not sure one of that, but your content game has been, you've definitely been. I know you, yeah,
yeah,
I know you've
yeah,
been pushing it because you got your program
yeah,
going on right now. So I've been,
yeah.
you were quiet for a little bit, but then you kind of came back and you hit them hard now with the
Yeah.
content and
I had to scale back. And I mean, I never truly disappeared because I have a pretty active email list. So I
yeah, for sure.
really encourage people to, look into if you don't have that.
Yeah,
Uh, but I spent a lot of time there, but I also spent some time, in research and development.
yeah,
And I always knew that content was looking different. Um, lately. Like I looked at a lot of my favorite content creators, and I don't know, like I just seen some similarities,
yeah.
and I'm like, what are these people doing? Like I can't quite pin
Right,
a a word or name or type or style to it,
right,
but what are people doing?
right.
And like once I figured it out, and once I figured out my sources or where I want to get everything from, and acquired the right tools, now that's what you see. That you see me going off. But for the artists that are looking to acquire fans, in this case, I think the key similarity that I saw is your stuff can't be boring. Like it can't be boring. Like content right now cannot be one dimensional. Like it can't be flat. Like you get to get entertaining. You have to include, certain elements in the video. Like they say that motion, like moving a lot is a thing that is like really big right now for content. Um, but I mean,
Yeah,
it's a never ending game, but
yeah,
at the end of the day though, don't really focus on the numbers because I'm gonna bring it back to the numbers. Don't really focus on the numbers. Double down on the people that are actually showing you love,
right,
right?
right.
And and just double down on those people. If you get a new follower from a post and it's just one follower and it's because it only reached 150 people, that is still excellent. you know, follow the person back, send them a voice note, let them know that you really appreciate them. That appreciation method, that just showing appreciation, because let's be real, we're all feeling it. We're not getting much from these platforms
Yeah,
unless
let's
you're
be
like a
for
creator
facts,
and like that.
facts,
We're not getting
facts,
much. So
facts. Yeah,
what little you do get, double down on that shit. Because
yeah, that's real talk.
this could be your core right here that we're working
Yeah,
with. You know?
it's
So
it's so important because if you look at the people that they're outside of music, they're dropping like videos. These people who run like a business, they have editors, they have all kinds of things that majority of people can't. Everybody can't really afford to pay people to just sit back and edit video. And then a lot of times these content creators they're not even on putting out the videos. They have a team doing that. You know what I'm
right,
saying? Like, and
right.
they, so they don't have so. That's why they can crank out 7, 8, 9 videos a day
High quality.
and high quality because they're just paying. Because
Quality.
they have a whole team that's doing that. But because by the time they're generating a lot of watch time on YouTube and all stuff they're doing. So though they have the money to reinvest to be able to put quality content at that scale, and it's converting. So again, it's easy to get discouraged when you're watching other people and watch what they're doing, but just got to do whatever's best for you. Talk to me about personal, like because every time people just don't like. I think even though creatives are like they like to stay, they just don't necessarily like people. But talk to me about like personally engaging with your audience while still kind of maintaining, I guess, privacy. Because you talk about this the term the three pillars of fan engagement, right? Authenticity, consistency, sustainability. If you break that down real quick, authenticity is authentically be you, right? Authentically being you and showing up as you, right?
Yeah.
Consistency, just showing up all the time, you know, on a consistent level, not necessarily every day. Because I used to fall into the trap of I gotta post every day on social media.
No, you really
And
don't.
I think now, like, I think the reason, like, because that used to kind of be the thing, like, you got to post like 7 times a day, and based on what time, your fans are most engaged, and I realize now you don't really have to do that because with the
Right.
stories, people kind of keep their engagement in in stories and things like that, right? But so not necessarily with the feed as much, right? But talk to me about, and then obviously sustainability is having a system to retain the fans and retain those people that you connect with. Because again, for me, social media is about turning interested fans, creating awareness, turning people that are interested, and then converting them by taking them to a platform that you own, right? Because
Yeah.
that's what super fans are. Interested fans take and then turn them into supporters that ultimately spend money, and that's the goal, right? So, talk to me about artists who feel like they want to still kind of be a private, but still personally engaged. I know you talked earlier about
Yeah.
kind of that engagement strategy. And
Yeah.
you can go into that as deep as you want or not. Kind of, hey, people pay you for this stuff, so you
Yeah.
don't got to give it away. You don't got to give all the secrets away.
No, it's cool. It's cool. I mean, so when it comes to, transparency and sharing your life and your experiences and what you've been through online, I mean, it's totally up to you at the end of the day how much you want to throttle that, right? Like, but you also have to think about like personal, like branding, right? So, obviously, when it comes to branding, it should come from, the A, right? The authenticity, right?
Mm-hmm.
It comes from you. And so everybody has different experiences, stuff that they've gone through, things that make them who they are, right? And so when it comes time to think about your branding, you have to pick where within your realm do you want to grab something and then figure out how to translate that and connect with people that are out there, right? And so this is where you have that choice,
Right,
right? You have that choice of what you want to grab from your realm and feed to the world. So, if you're somebody who likes, grew up playing sports and they like sports, but also is super into dogs, right? You're a dog breeder. But at some point in your life, you experienced, just a run of depression, right? And it got really,
mm-hmm.
you can pick which one of those you want to lead with,
Yeah,
right? You don't
yeah,
necessarily, I mean, there's a crowd for all of those things.
right,
Um, don't get me wrong. I know that people love their dogs and people love sports, but that depression route might hit hard, and you might be able to heal some people on that route, but it's going to require for you to be extremely vulnerable,
yeah,
right? So this is where again where you get to make that choice. Do you want to go down that route and be vulnerable and share moments that are private in your life, in exchange for helping people? Um, and if the answer is no, if you're not going to feel comfortable doing those things because that's maybe still an area where you're trying to improve on your own individually, then fine. Pick the other things, right? There's no rules to this. I mean, there's definitely rights and wrongs.
right,
But
right.
and there's guidelines. But as far as like what you want to pick, like it's up to you at the end of the day. And once you pick whatever that is, now you have to make sure you eat, sleep, and breathe that thing on your socials, in your interviews. If you create merch, you want it to reflect in the merch, your cover art for your latest project, your single album, whatever. Like you want these things to completely reflect in all of those things. And
Yeah,
at some point, I would hope that, you're going to be sending this message through social media. And this goes back to what we were talking about before. The results may not be like super astounding. You're going viral every single time,
Hmm.
but you are going to run into people along your route of your rollout or whatever you're doing that, are going to give you feedback on it.
Yeah.
And so I say that in that sense, don't worry about the people that aren't. Don't worry about the people that the platform should be showing you to, but they aren't. Focus on the ones that are. Double down on those. Show your appreciation. Offer them exclusive stuff. Don't let it just be a one-way street when it comes to your relationship with them. Pour into them the same way that you want them to pour into you. Shit, pour into them first,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Pour into them first. And sometimes then don't lead with the music, right? You don't
Yeah.
always have to lead with the music. I think that was a common mistake that I used to make early on in my career.
Oh
Everything
yeah.
had to be about the music. But then I got to a point where I just started talking to people online about what the fuck ever. Like we would be
Right.
in box talking about, I don't know, aliens and fucking the weather and like,
Right.
hella conspiracy theories. Like,
Right.
you know what I mean? Like we're just in the inbox talking about whatever, but I'm bonding with them.
Exactly.
Like and this is my form of bonding. My goal was to always be the friend that people never met before, right?
Sure.
So if you lead with that when it's time to ask for support, right? Because we talked about this in the previous recording. We don't like calling it, we don't like telling people to beg for the streams.
I
When it's
can't.
time to ask,
Yeah. Yeah. There's a way. There's a way to do it. Right. You talked about not leading with the music. I agree with that. I think here's what I'll say: your music needs to be quality. Let's start there. Like your music definitely has to be quality, right? When you get
yeah,
ready, because I mean, we don't want some people to put out trash music. The music got to be quality. But as you said, that might not be the first thing that people gravitate to is your music. What I will say, artists should be always be concerned to be, I'm not concerned. I don't use the word concerned, but be intentional with this. What problems are you solving, right? For
yeah,
people, I think when artists look at themselves as problem solvers, and I talk about this all the time, right? When you look at
or,
yourself as a problem solver, right, then you can be intentional because you know why you're doing it. This just comes back down to the brand position statement I talk about all the time, right? The three elements of the brand position statement: the community that you want to serve, who you are, why does somebody care, right? So their problem solving comes into you know the community you want to serve, right? But most importantly, like why should they care? So that's where you got a problem that you're looking to solve, and if you could figure that out, right, then it makes it way easier to know what you're doing on your socials because you kind of have you can create a whole plan around that because you know everything you're doing at that point is intentional. And I think again that's where a lot of artists struggle at too because they just don't know how to be intentional and what it is that their brand's all about, right? So if they understand, branding in that type of element, it makes it way easier to then be able to create a whole social media plan that works for you. And it doesn't have to work with somebody else for as long as it works for you as a creative. You know what I mean? So I think that's really, 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 really important, man. Um, what do you think? We talked about community earlier. What would you say? Is some strategies that you can really employ to those who have come into your community? Because here's the thing: when you bring new people into your world, they come into your world and they're part of your community. But then you have those people that are really diehards, that are really those people that really really give a shit. You know what I'm saying? And those are the ones we talk about core audience. Those are the ones that's gonna sustain you.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying? So those are the
yeah.
ones that's gonna sustain you. So what do you think about that?
I mean, I
Strategies and again you can kind of just
yeah,
touch on some surface stuff. You don't gotta do a whole deep dive.
yeah, no, I'll keep it high level. Um, yeah, I mean, just to echo what you said, like you have to have those core people. But and honestly, chances are people already have those core people. They just don't know how to get to them, right? I always say start with your call log. Start with the network that you currently have,
Hmm.
friends, family, right? Like if I were to start a business today, baking cakes, I'm literally gonna go on my Facebook and I'm just gonna post, hey, like baking cakes, anyone want a cake they want baked, right? Like,
Right.
and you know what I mean? Like I'm just gonna start with the people that I already have right now. Um, and then as far as just out in the wild,
Hmm.
I mean, you're gonna have to reel these people in, right? You're gonna have to connect with them, and this is why branding is so important. You're gonna need to have your connection piece, right? The good music, the great brand, something that literally hits home for people, and then you're gonna need to be where they're at online, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
If we're talking, my reference from before, which was about like dogs, right? Like, well, there's plenty of dog pages out there online. There's plenty of dog conferences, um, you know, around the world. And I'm pretty sure there's plenty of dog parks too. So like, if you want to connect, and I would assume you'd have a dog yourself, so it wouldn't be weird that you would just be at the dog park by yourself.
Right.
But like if you want to connect with other people who, have the same interests as you, you need to be where they're at as well. And you also need to know that, you're not gonna land this person as a top fan off the first meetup or off the
Yeah.
first hello. It's gonna take time. It's gonna take a process. It's gonna take you again constantly pouring into them probably more than they pour into you. And before you know it, now you have a top supporter. So that's really the recipe to, building a core fan. It's not something that happens overnight, and with that high level formula, it should open your eyes to let you know that, you do need to spend some more time on these platforms, spend some time outside and just get to know people. And don't just be anywhere. I mean, granted, if you're anywhere, like still introduce yourself, still say who you are, what you do, what type of music you make, right? That kind of thing, if it leads to that point in the conversation, but also be very strategic about where you are and in that introduction, right? Again, if your thing is dogs, I gave the examples, right? Dog pages online, dog parks, things of that nature. That's where your people are really going to be. I mean, there's people everywhere, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you're their cup of tea. You can certainly guarantee a higher probability of conversion when you are where your tribe is. That's the word that I use a lot. Your
Yeah.
tribe, because what
Love
this
that. Yeah.
is about it's about finding your tribe,
Yeah.
finding your tribe,
Serving them. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
rinse and repeat.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
it.
I mean, you got to keep it as simple as possible because again, this can get really overwhelming really fast for all of us, bro. For all of
Yeah,
us. Even though there's so many great things and tools today that allow independent music to be um, where to go, but it's just a lot to do. There's so many different things you have to do. We're mostly talking about the marketing aspect of it. There's so many other things that have to be done outside of just that, right? So I mean, when you can kind of simplify it, the best possible way, it's always going to make it um, really really important. Talk to me about actively listening to your as if I'm an artist and I'm listening to my audience and incorporating their feedback in the creative process. And I think I bring that up because that's a cool way to generate revenue,
yeah,
right? Because you can allow because this is when you talk about now allowing artists to pay for the opportunity to be an executive producer on your project. And you can create opportunities where they can pay a fee because they're getting value because they're being a part of an experience and you can generate ancillary income by giving people the opportunity just to feel like they're a part of something. And a lot of times the people don't think about that, right? Because again, everybody they're trying to equate everything to streams, and we're talking about the key word here is support, right? But you
For
can we want to use the word support versus stream. And so there's so many ways to do that. But talk to me about, you know, um, like I said, incorporating what your audience likes into what you do to into what they would do to create their music, and in
yeah,
terms of being able to flip that into a way to generate revenue.
yeah. Well, the music, that's a really good question. The music is a product, right? Like once
Yeah.
you go in the booth, you record, you write, you record, you mix, you master, all that good stuff.
Mhm.
Now the product is complete, right?
Right.
But look at it like this. Um, Products improve all the time, right? If you think about whatever your favorite product is, right?
Right.
Whether
Right.
hair care product, skincare product, beverage, um, I don't know, cell phone, whatever, right? Products
Yeah.
are always improving. And a lot of that, what people don't know about that improvement process is somewhere between the last iteration of the product and the new iteration of the product, there's research and development,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
focus groups, right? And things like
Yeah.
and study groups. And these are what help shape what goes into the next product, right? At this
Right.
point, I'll stick with the phone reference. I have an iPhone 14 right now. I
Okay.
remember the
It's
original
13. I
iPhone.
think I have a 13, but yeah.
Yeah, I remember the original iPhone was like half the size
Yeah.
of it, right?
Yeah.
And
Yep.
and I don't think, and at that time, streaming wasn't a thing. People
Right.
were still really watching the TV.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, boom, here comes Netflix. Boom, here comes Amazon Video, Prime
Hmm.
Video. Boom, here
Yeah.
comes Hulu. Here comes all these things. So now we start to see a shift in society where people are beginning to consume this type of media on their
Yeah.
phones.
Yeah.
And so that would be like where a focus group would come into play. But in research and development, they're probably out there asking people, hey, we noticed that you watch a lot. You're starting to watch more on our screens. And granted, we realize that our screens are smaller. Would you be interested in us making them larger for
Yeah.
you?
Yeah.
And so now people are like, fuck yeah, make it larger.
Yeah.
But imagine this, right? So now they're larger and they're flying off the shelves. I mean, it's to the point where like I don't even have like a Pro Max version. I got the regular version, but there's still
Yeah.
there's people out there that are like, yeah, make it bigger. Give me the Pro Max,
Yeah.
right?
I'm a Pro Max guy. I'm a Pro Max guy. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You got people out there that are like, make it bigger. But imagine this. Imagine at that very vital question, right? The turning point this could have taken. That
Mm-hmm.
question, hey, I noticed that you've been watching stuff on our smaller screens. Would you like it if we made it bigger? And they go, yeah. And then all of a sudden you put out the next iteration of your product and it's the same size or it's
Yeah.
small, right? Your music is the same way, right? You should be collecting this feedback, this information
Yeah.
from your consumer because your consumer is going to tell you exactly what they want and how they want it. And one of the
Right.
things I learned from a mentor is when somebody tells you what they want, or I'm sorry, I don't even want to paraphrase. I want to say it the exact way it was said to me. When the best way to sell something to somebody is to ask them what they want and give it to them.
Yeah.
There's nothing complicated about that, right?
Right. Right.
Like
Right. Right.
like take the time, right? I'll give you guys something practical that you can do, right? This will
Mm-hmm.
help strengthen your core. This will promote that you need to get a core,
Right.
strengthen your core,
Right.
and help you create the best possible product all at the same time,
Right.
right? Start start some type of group, right? Recruit all the people that constantly show love into this group. So this is gonna be an ongoing thing you're gonna have to do. You're gonna have to
Okay.
constantly recruit people into this circle. Once
Mm.
you get into the circle, announce that you're gonna have a private exclusive private listening session,
Right.
right?
Right.
For an unreleased track,
Right.
right? But
Right.
you're
Right.
only doing it with the people in your core circle first. Now you could
Right.
do this online. If you
Yeah.
have the means to do it in person, definitely do it in person,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But if you
Yeah.
can't do it in person, do it online, right? And then you want to take the time and you want to spend the time with people, and you want to share this info. You want to share the song with them, but you
Right.
also want to make sure that you're asking for opinions. You
Yeah.
also want to make sure, or when you're done, you want to make sure that you remind people, hey, thank you so much for coming. Show gratitude. Thank you so much for pulling up. Thank you so much for joining. Um, I'm gonna send you a survey,
Yep.
right? And hell, if you really want to be freaky about it, incentivize it. Incentivize the survey with something free,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? And totally optional, but
Yeah.
it would help, right? But incentivize the people take this survey. And now this survey is feedback about the experience that you just gave them, the song that you just played them, and future things you may be interested in doing, right?
Right. Right.
You know what direction to head in after all is said and done, especially when it's time for the rollout. Because ultimately, what are you going to do with this song?
Yeah.
So, all
Yeah.
in one little sequence that I just gave you, it promotes to go and get some top supporters. It creates a bonding experience with them, but also gives you that opportunity to collect information that will help you sell to them and have a great rollout when the time comes. So I don't know, count all the benefits in there,
No,
but
no, that's great. I talk because I mean, that goes into testing your records, right? A lot of times
right.
we put out oh yeah, this is gonna be my single. Okay, well, is that what the people really want from you?
Facts.
You might like the record, because it goes back to the whole thing of, oh, this is a hit. I said, nah, I mean, hit records are marketed, right? Records feel good. I think music is about emotion, right? So yes, it evokes an emotion that makes something. That's what music really boils down to, right? What type of emotion did that song evoke in you, right? And it's not a good or it's not a right or wrong answer. It's just music. The job of music is to evoke emotion. That's what it's there to do. You don't
Yeah.
have to like the emotion, but that's what when it all did something. I equate it back to the days of gangster rap, right? When NWA first came out, right? But prior to NWA, you had rappers. You had Kid and Play. You had like rap wasn't so gangster, wasn't so hard, right? Prior to that, right? And so now when NWA first comes out, people had never heard this type of stuff on record before. You know what I'm saying? And so it evoked emotion. Kind of like how with Two Live Crew, you know, with Luke, back in, I'm barely old enough never
Yeah.
to remember. I just know about watching the videos and stories about how like Two Live Crew and Miami bass music was the reason why we had parental advisory stickers on albums because like they were talking about stuff you just wouldn't hear on record, right? So like, but it evoked emotion, right? That's what music is all about. So as long as you're testing these songs and it's evoking emotion and you're getting the feedback and I tell people if you got 5 songs and you create a focus group and you got 50 people, you got 20 people in that focus group, you usually have an odd number, right? You have you know, let's say you have 15 people in the focus group and, you know, 13 out of the 15 is equating to the same 2 records, then that should tell you that you're onto something because the people are going to tell you what they like at the end of the day. So I think it's important to have that information, have that data that you can then use that to make smarter decisions in where you're going to spend your money and invest your money into, man. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's really, really important for sure, man.
Yeah.
Um, Talk to you about like go back to building community, and we'll kind of wrap it up with this. Uh, what are some of the struggles you see um, creatives making, and you know, because again, a lot of what your world is building a fan base, but what are some of the struggles? What are some of the big the I would say the 3 most common mistakes in
Three
terms
most
of
common mistakes.
like where you see artists like you see they drop the ball all the
Mm.
time on this. Like they don't have to be 3. Let's say pop 2. You know what I'm saying?
No, we
Like
could do three. I just posted something on Instagram, I think. Oh, it was today. I thought it was yesterday. Oh my gosh. And I'm looking at it right now. So if I had it's a list of 7 things, right?
okay, Okay, go
why
ahead. Hit him with
why
the
are
seven. Hit us with the seven.
wrong? But I'll pick the top three that
Okay.
I think is the most, the biggest pitfalls.
Okay.
One is gonna be thinking that only viral content is gonna grow your fan base.
Right.
Like I don't subscribe to that at all. You don't need to go viral. The platforms, most of these platforms have like 2 million people, 2 billion people on the platform alone.
Yeah.
Like hitting upload isn't always going to be your way to success. Literally just
Right.
find the pages that they reside at, where they express the most interest in the thing that you express the most interest in, the thing that your brand is about. Find an account that has um a decent following, some good engagement, and is engage with the people that are commenting on that page. Go like three of their pictures, drop a comment on one. They're gonna check your page out. They might follow you. Don't expect for them to do it all the time. And if they do, send them a voice note. Let them know you appreciate them for wanting to be a part of your world,
Yep.
and
Yep.
build a relationship from there. And then just do all the other stuff that we said earlier in the podcast. The next thing, the next thing waiting till everything is perfect.
Yeah.
Again, everything doesn't listen. I learned early on that
Mhm.
everything doesn't need to be perfect. Like some shit you can just build along the way.
Right. Right.
You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Some
Right.
things you can build along the way. Like honestly, earlier I said you don't need to lead with music. You can still start build. You can have an idea of your brand.
Yeah.
You know, at the very least, you need that. Like
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
need that. You can have nothing else. You could not even have music out.
Right.
Like, but at the very least, you know what I'm saying? Make sure that you know who you want to connect with, and then just do everything I just said earlier,
Right.
right?
Right. Right.
And then another thing is having a massive budget. Oh, fuck you don't. Some people think they need to have a lot of money. They need to invest in the craziest music videos and wear
For
the
sure.
most up to date dress.
Not to cut you off, but I think
Yeah,
what comes to mind is Money Long. Did a video. Somebody posted about how she didn't realize how much money it costs to be an artist, and it was like, yo,
it's,
she doing Money Long, and I'm not gonna go back to her backstory right now, but she's doing this at scale now. So of course, with her, she dealing with producers and people that cost a whole lot of money, but most people will never see the type of success she see. It took her. It literally took her eight. It literally took her like 15 years to get on. Literally,
bro,
from the time she
bro.
started to, you know,
Think about it. Like, and I want to even like put it in a more like bring it more into scale, right? Like
right?
think about it like she's running a whole warehouse. Like I don't think she's probably not actually running a warehouse, but just follow me here.
Yeah,
She's operating out of her own fucking warehouse right now. So
yeah.
think about how much everything costs for her to do. She's got to pay for forklifts. She's got to pay for delivery drivers. She's
Everything.
got to pay
Yeah,
for the rent on the property if
yeah.
she doesn't own it herself,
Right,
right?
right.
All these big operational logistical costs that she has to pay for. But guess where she probably started?
Yeah,
We started in her room. So
yep,
operational costs were very low when you start in the room.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
yep, yep.
So, but she still obviously she still made it to the point where her operational costs got longer.
Mm.
And so that's the person that we're catering to right now. We're
Facts.
catering to the person that doesn't have that large scale operational cost.
Mm.
But we're also saying, what I'm not saying is that you're not gonna not spend money.
Right.
That's what I'm not
I
saying.
think the whole right. I think you would tell people, if you have a job, keep your job. Work. It's
Facts.
totally fine. Work your day job. Work your
Facts.
9 to 5. Do not. I see people. Hold on. I can never. I gotta be no. Like do things that allow you to have some freedom within that. Hold on. But yeah, if you have a good job, do not quit
Yeah.
your job. Do not quit your job
No, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that.
because
Because
you're
it's
trying to. Yeah.
look, I got all these great quotes in my head.
Yeah.
I had another mentor said to me that like sometimes it takes about 5 years before you start to see results in your
Yeah.
business. That's because the 5 years that you spend getting to that point, you spent getting good in the business, right?
Yeah.
So you have
Yeah.
to spend 5 years in it. You got to put years in just to get good at what you're doing
Right.
so that you can see benefits from it. Like
But
I'm just starting to reap a lot of the crazy rewards to what I've been doing, but I've been at this for a long time,
yeah, yeah.
right?
And
So that's
I've
why
like I said,
it
I've
takes
been
time.
rocking with you for a while now. So I saw,
Yeah,
yeah, like and it takes time, right? And so like music, unfortunately, I tell people all the time, this is the slow burn, man.
facts.
It's rewarding, but it's a slow burn. And
Yeah,
so that's why I always tell people you can never get um no, don't ever envy somebody else because you don't know what type of situation they're in. They could be in a shitty ass situation,
yeah,
bad contract, all
yeah,
kinds of things that they're in. They have no
yeah.
freedom. They owe people a lot of money,
Facts. You
and
never know it.
right, and but you don't have the. You may not have the quote unquote following that they have, or feel like, but you don't have the. I don't use the word drama, but you don't have a lot of the issues and problems that they have to deal with because they took money from somebody too early. Look at here's a mistake. A lot of people they'll go take money from somebody too early in the game. You gotta be careful. You start taking money from people to help invest yourself. Like you gotta realize you gotta pay that money back. You know what I'm saying? So people gotta be careful. Like so that's why I say do not if you have a good day job, because let's be real, if you have children, you have all the other life element things, you're gonna need to have your job. So I don't think it. I don't think it could. For a lot of people, like because I can't work a 9 to 5. Like no, you do what you got to do,
Right.
especially in this economy. That's a whole nother conversation for another day.
Word
But
up.
I think it's important for people to understand like it is okay to work your 9 to 5. It's okay to do other things, uh, you haven't lost and you're no less of an entrepreneur, you're no less of an artist. You're doing what's required because this is a very expensive game.
Yeah.
There's no way around it. I think Wendy Day,
Facts.
Rap Coalition, talks about she tells artists all the time she can't do it for less than $150,000.
Yeah.
Right?
She's operating at scale. She's operating at
Right.
high,
But
you know what I mean?
she
Make
said
her in.
and she says all the time it's because and that's to blow you up. So you can't come to her at zero and expect to her to blow you up. Like, no, you got to have some kind of something already going. And even at that part, at that level,
Yeah.
he says she can't do it for less than $150,000.
Yeah. But that's because she probably also got the formula too. Like
Yeah, she has the formula, right?
she's been in
She's
the
been doing
game
it 30. She's
for a
been doing
minute.
it 30,
Yeah.
30. She's been doing
So
it
she know
30 something
people
years.
know her. You know what I mean? She know
Yeah,
people know her. She know exactly where to go. She know the
yeah,
blueprint. She can
right,
she's literally has the printing press in her brain of how to take somebody from wherever they're at to where they want to be.
right.
Like,
I believe she worked. Recently she worked with La Russell early on, and and people like he's a nice name on the independent scale. But she's been doing it so long. She just knows the tricks of the trade and how to do it. And but it is
yeah.
going to cost it. There's no way around it. It is going to cost some money. There's no we can try to you can try to I wouldn't say minimize the cost, but when you get to education, you kind of know where to put your money up, but it is going to cost some money to do this. There's no way around it, because you and I
Yeah.
as coaches, yeah, we're coaches, but you got to come to it. Like if they don't have any money, they can't expect as the old saying goes, champagne dreams on a bare budget. You know what
I
I'm saying?
like that one.
You know,
Champagne dreams on a
yeah,
beer budget.
some people are
Love that.
ridiculous. Like somebody like a friend of mine the other day, right? I met at the conference. She's like, "Yeah, well, I need." She literally said, "I want to help out. My artist needs promotion, but we only want to spend less than $100 a month." I'm like, bro, like what? If you only look at like no, you like you
That's
gotta
why
go
Pete
ahead.
though. That's why in my content, like now, that's why I'm like when I first came into the game, I was nicer.
Yeah,
But like now, like if you look at my content, like
right,
I don't give a fuck. Like
right.
either you understand what's going on or you don't. Like,
Like
and if you don't,
the
then like
fact that
you're not
she came to
real.
me, like the fact that she came to me and initially was like, yeah, if you know anybody that's gonna do it for less than $100, and you think that that's gonna help you for 100, like for less than $100. Like, look,
Yeah.
I put that a month in ad. Like, I spent $100 in, in ad myself, and like, I only know I'm only going to reach so many people with that. You know, I want people are pumping like, you know, thousands of dollars in ads a month. Just to keep their just on the digital platform, just to keep seeing their stuff. That doesn't mean they're going to convert all the time.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So if you're looking to only spend $100 and you want to get massive, like you don't work like that. Like, if you want somebody to come in, because I do a lot of work on the PR side. I have a PR partner I work with, right? And like, you know, yeah, we can do a budget for you for $500 a month, but don't expect, you're going to get it's not going to generate you uh, a result that would cost 10 grand. That's not the way
Yeah.
it works. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
I think in that case, like there's a there's a transition that has to happen. Like you have to get really good with your organic game, like
Yeah,
your outside game and your social media game, like with the organic networks that you have,
right.
has to you gotta perfect that game first.
Yeah,
And you have to
yeah,
perfect the art of being able to make money in that game first. And then once you're able to turn a profit, now you can dip and dabble. You know what I mean? You're still not fully out of your organic, you know what I'm saying, mode,
yeah, yeah,
but you're now starting to transition into ad mode, and at some point it's gonna, you know what I'm saying?
yeah.
Or at some point you can still stay on your organic route, but still, you know what I'm saying, kick up on the ads too. It's
Well,
however you want to play
I
it, but
think
it's gonna be a
right,
transition.
right. Because what people will do, right? People also too, though. People will make themselves. I'm going to boost this post. What I learned was when you boost a post, all you're doing is boosting people that already follow you versus running it. Right? Am I right on that, or am I wrong on that?
Bro, I'm so past boosting that I don't even like
Bro,
my
like,
mind
so
past
I
that.
don't even boost. I like because
I don't, yeah, I skip that all together and just go straight
mistake.
to
Like,
the ad game.
like what you do is you got to run ads because those people who people you want to ask you, they're more likely to engage with you because
Yeah,
you're not people that know. There's a lot of people that already know you. So I'm
yeah,
not boosted. I don't boost posts no more.
yeah.
I run an ad.
After I heard that they charge like a processing fee or some type of new fee or something like that when you
Right.
boost, oh they yeah, y'all lost me. Like I don't even care about
Right.
that fee
And there's
anymore.
but but that's how they bait people. They bait these people. Oh yeah, just boost your posts. Like that doesn't work. That doesn't help you.
Yeah,
Anyway, man, we could be here all night talking about this, but I love chopping up with you, man. But before we get out of here, where can people find you? How they connect with you? Real quick, tell them about your program. I know you have a program,
of course. I got a
couple
couple.
programs.
Yeah, it's crazy. No, it's crazy how things change in a matter of what we just did this last week.
Yeah,
Um, so one is something that's coming pretty soon. I'm already starting to promote it. I'm putting something out. It's a free playbook. The playbook is focused on doing two things. First thing is it's focused on teaching artists how to build that core, right?
yeah,
The same type of strategies that I gave earlier in this conversation is exactly what you'll find inside of this playbook. But even more so, is focused on guiding the artist with a step by step, even a fifth grader can follow this plan, blueprint to launching your own first pay what you want campaign within 30 days. So if you're
nice,
down, if you're committed, you're willing to do the work, okay? Keyword, emphasis, willing to do the work within 30 days, you can go through this manual. And I'm telling you, the way that I laid it out, I laid step by step, and I even gave you some supporting bonuses that you can use to help you track your progress. So that's the first thing, right? Coming soon. Just go to my Instagram, DM me the word playbook, and I'll probably get you an early version of it. Now, the next thing that I have is my program is called Fanbase Hero University. Fanbase Hero University is basically the playbook on steroids, right? So not only are you going to get a shit ton more strategies that you can use to build off of the fan base that I've already helped you create at that point with the playbook, but you and I will meet as a group with the rest of the squad twice a month. I have an entire course dedicated to showing you how to keep this fan base relationship building built fan base. Why am I tripping on my words? Fan base relationship building process going. And then I also have a video library, full of tons of like great interviews like this one that we just did on a various different topics, but of course primarily building a fan base and how to up that bag. So if you're interested in that, you can find me on Instagram at Keys to the Game. That's spelled with a Z, Keyz, to the, not the number two, THO, or TO, whoops, TOTHE game, right? So, and that's only because the S was taken, so I couldn't use like the word proper spell. But yeah, tap in with me. You know, pick any of my posts, comment the word playbook. Or if you just want to go straight into the fan base here at university, DM me. I got you.
For sure, guys. Look, this has been another great episode of the Encourage Inspire podcast. Man, this guy is always dropping gems. It's great to call him a friend and a colleague, you know. And it won't be the last time you hear him on the podcast. He will be back for sure at some point. so, so we can talk about this all day, man, guys. But this has been another great episode of the Encourage Inspire podcast. Until next time, I'm out of here. Peace.
Later.